Listen carefully, because this part never makes it into the Instagram captions, the podcasts, or the new chapter reels with the soft music in the background. When a woman signs those divorce papers, she really believes she's walking into freedom. Everyone tells her she's brave, she's strong, she's finally choosing herself. And she believes it. If you value truth over comfortable lies, hit that like and hype buttons immediately. Subscribe to this channel and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I want to know where my strongest, most aware men are tuning in tonight. But what she's really walking into is silence. Not the peaceful kind, not the quiet morning with coffee silence. I'm talking about the kind that echoes, the kind that sits heavy in a half-empty apartment at 3 a.m. when her phone is face down on the nightstand, notifications turned off, not because she's protecting her peace, but because no one's actually calling anymore. She posts wine glasses, beach sunsets, those self-love mirror selfies with captions like, "Becoming her," or "Healing energy only." But I've seen what happens behind the screen. I've coached hundreds of women through this exact moment, and let me tell you what nobody dares to say out loud. Freedom sounds poetic until you realize it doesn't come with witnesses. See, when she left, everyone clapped. Good for you. You're glowing. You deserve better. But the audience always leaves after the show. Nobody sticks around for Act 2, the quiet, unfiltered part where the lights go out and the spotlight fades. That's when she starts asking herself, okay, now what? And before you roll your eyes or think this is another "men are the problem" speech, stop. I'm not here to judge her. I'm not here to defend her either. I'm here because I've sat with these women, in coffee shops, on my couch, on FaceTime at midnight while they're curled up in an oversized hoodie, crying into a pillow they used to share with someone. I've listened to their confessions, their regrets, their "I didn't think it would feel like this" moments. You want to know the truth? They all say the same things, just with different names, different cities, different filters. They all start confident. I'm good. I'm glowing. I'm living. But give it time. When the validation dries up, when the attention fades, when the world moves on, they're left face to face with themselves. No background music, no audience, just reality. And that's when the real lessons start showing up. The 7 silent truths no one posts about. The truth that freedom can feel like exile. That strength gets heavy when no one's around to see it. That healing isn't glamorous. It's boring, repetitive, lonely work. That being wanted isn't the same as being understood. That independence can start to feel like punishment when the house is too quiet. That self-love doesn't fill the space someone's laugh used to occupy. And that sometimes the bravest thing she could have done was stay and fight, not walk away pretending she didn't care. So before you go believing every caption or every "I'm happier than ever" story, remember, nobody posts the silence. Nobody records the moment she realizes freedom doesn't hug you back. You'll hear her say she's lighter now, finally herself, living authentically. But wait 3 months, then 6. Watch what happens when the congratulations stop and real life starts sending bills. Because what I'm about to show you isn't theory. It's the pattern I've watched unfold so many times I could set my watch by it. So let me walk you through the 7 brutal truths women realize after divorce, the ones that hit when they're alone, broke, and forgotten. Starting with the first one, the one that lands right after the honeymoon phase of freedom ends. Truth 1. Freedom feels like falling. The first night alone feels powerful. She lights candles, orders expensive takeout, spreads across the entire bed like she's reclaiming territory. She calls her sister, laughs about finally having the remote to herself, makes plans for a weekend trip she's always wanted to take. For 72 hours, it feels like victory. And then Tuesday morning arrives. She's eating cereal standing over the sink because there's no point setting the table for one. The apartment is quiet in a way that feels wrong, not peaceful, just empty. She turns on the television for background noise, but it doesn't fill the space the way a person does. Even her best friend quietly admits weeks later that she's been crying in her car before work, gripping the steering wheel, trying to remember why she wanted this in the first place. Here's what happens psychologically. Her brain confuses relief with loss. She mistook the absence of conflict for peace, but peace isn't just the removal of something negative. It's the presence of something stable. And stability, she's realizing, was the thing she took for granted. The freedom she fought for doesn't come with structure. It comes with endless decisions she has to make alone. Meals she has to plan alone. Evenings she has to fill alone. One of my clients told me she spent an hour in the grocery store, paralyzed in the pasta aisle, because she didn't know what she actually liked anymore. She'd been cooking for two for so long that her own preferences had dissolved into compromise. Freedom without purpose feels like chaos, but loneliness isn't what breaks her first. It's realizing how fast the world forgets. Truth 2. Attention has an expiration date. At first, she's glowing. New haircut, gym membership, co-workers hyping her up in the break room. Her social media fills with comments. You look amazing. Living your best life. He didn't deserve you anyway. The validation is intoxicating. For a few weeks, maybe a couple months, she feels seen in a way she hasn't in years. Every notification is proof that she made the right choice, that people support her, that her life is beginning again. But then something shifts. The likes slow down. The comments become generic. Her friends stop asking how she's doing because they've run out of new ways to phrase the same concern. And eventually, everyone just moves on. They have their own lives, their own relationships, their own problems. Her divorce was interesting for a moment. Now it's just her reality, and reality doesn't generate engagement. This is the part she never told you because she didn't know it herself yet. She thought the attention would last because the pain was real. But people don't stay interested in pain. They stay interested in novelty, and she's not novel anymore. She's just another woman navigating life after marriage, and the world has already seen that story 1,000 times. Her so-called girl gang starts cancelling plans, chasing their own boyfriends, their own families, their own priorities. She finds herself spending Friday nights alone, scrolling through photos of couples at dinner, families at parks, people who still have someone to text goodnight. The dopamine crash of validation withdrawal hits harder than she expected. But silence isn't the worst part. What follows is far colder. Truth 3. Independence costs more than she expected. Let's talk about money, because this is where fantasy meets spreadsheet. Rent that used to split 2 ways now lands entirely on her. Car repairs she never had to think about become her responsibility. Groceries cost more when you're buying for one because nothing comes in single portions. Her credit card balance climbs. Subscriptions she forgot they shared suddenly charge her account in full. The math doesn't add up the way she thought it would. One woman told me she spent $500 on candles and decorative pillows, trying to make the apartment feel like home, like control, like she was building something. 3 months later, she was searching online for ways to break her lease because she couldn't afford to stay. Here's the psychological trap. Her ego meets economics, and ego loses every time. The independence she craved, the freedom to make her own choices, becomes a spreadsheet she can't balance. She starts cutting small luxuries. Coffee out becomes coffee at home. Dinner with friends becomes declining invitations. She tells herself she's being financially responsible, but really she's just trying to survive. And the worst part, she can't admit it. She can't post about struggling to pay utilities or eating ramen 4 nights a week, because that would mean admitting the divorce cost her more than the marriage did. Financial independence hits differently when there's no safety net, when there's no one to call when the car breaks down, or the rent is due, or the medical bill arrives. But money isn't what she misses most. It's something no budget can buy. Truth 4. Validation feels cheaper. Each time, the DMs she used to ignore now feel like oxygen. A compliment from a stranger at the coffee shop carries her through the afternoon. She downloads dating apps, telling herself she's just looking, just curious, just seeing what's out there. The attention feels thrilling at first. Matches, messages, men telling her she's beautiful, asking her out, making her feel desired again. But the thrill fades faster each time. The conversations feel hollow. The compliments sound recycled. She goes on dates that blur together, men who talk about themselves, or ask surface questions, or clearly just want one thing. She used to judge women who did this, who chased validation through apps and casual encounters. Now she's one of them, and she understands why. Her ego is starving, and every attention hit lasts shorter than the one before. Here's what's happening. She's trying to fill an internal void with external approval, and it doesn't work. It never works. But she keeps trying because the alternative is sitting alone with herself, and herself is someone she's not sure she knows anymore. She texts men she has no interest in just to keep the conversation going. She agrees to second dates with people she doesn't like because being wanted feels better than being alone. And each time, the validation feels cheaper, more transactional, less real. She starts to realize that desire without connection is just noise. But when attention stops working, she tries something far more dangerous: reinvention. Truth. 5. Reinvention becomes a costume. She announces big changes: new career path, new city, spiritual retreat, yoga teacher training, anything to escape the echo of her old life, her old name, her old self. She says she's healing, evolving, becoming the woman she was always meant to be. But every post sounds like she's convincing herself. Every new hobby lasts a few weeks before she quietly stops mentioning it. Every fresh start feels like another costume she's trying on, hoping this one will finally fit. I see this constantly. Identity diffusion. She's trying to rebuild self-worth externally because looking internally is too painful. She changes her address, her hair color, her friend group, her entire aesthetic. But the patterns stay the same. The insecurity stays the same. The loneliness stays the same. You can change your environment, your body, your career, but you can't change your patterns until you face why they exist in the first place. And she's not ready to face that yet. So she keeps moving, keeps changing, keeps performing growth for an audience that's barely watching anymore. She talks about manifestation and alignment and letting go, but underneath the spiritual language is a woman running from herself. And here's the brutal part. Reinvention only works if there's something solid underneath to build on. Otherwise, you're just rearranging furniture in an empty room. And that's when the past stops knocking. It breaks the door down. Truth 6. The ghost of stability haunts her. She still checks his social media, pretending it's for closure. She tells herself she's just curious, just making sure he's okay, just seeing if he's moved on. But really, she's looking for proof that he's suffering too, that the divorce hurt him as much as it hurt her. And when she sees that he's fine, maybe even thriving, it cuts deeper than she expected. She starts missing things she didn't think mattered. Someone making coffee in the morning, the sound of keys on the counter, a voice asking how her day went, even if the conversation was routine. She doesn't miss him exactly. She misses the structure, the predictability, the quiet comfort of not having to perform or explain or justify her existence. This is nostalgia distortion. Her memory edits out the arguments, the resentment, the reasons she left. It keeps only the warm moments, the inside jokes, the feeling of being known. You think she's moved on, but she's replaying your quiet moments like a movie she can't turn off. Late at night, when the apartment feels too big and the silence feels too loud, she wonders if she made a mistake. She doesn't say this out loud. She doesn't admit it to her friends, or her therapist, or even fully to herself. But the question sits in her chest like a weight she can't lift. And guilt isn't the sharpest knife in this process. regret is. Truth 7. Regret arrives, dressed as wisdom. She won't call it regret. She'll call it growth, lessons learned, necessary evolution. She'll give advice to younger women. Take your time. Don't rush into marriage. Make sure you know yourself first. But if you listen closely, you'll hear the tremor in her voice. You'll see the way her eyes go distant when someone mentions their anniversary or their partner's name comes up in casual conversation. She's reframing her choices as empowerment because the alternative is admitting she destroyed something she can't rebuild. This is cognitive dissonance dressed up as self-awareness. She'll claim she learned her lesson, but what she really learned is how irreversible time feels when love runs out and the person who knew you best becomes a stranger. That part after the story, everyone clapped for. The part nobody films, nobody posts, nobody writes quotes about, because by then she's disappeared. Not physically, but emotionally. Gone to the same world that once cheered for her bravery, her self-discovery, her glow-up. See, at first, she's everywhere. Posts, selfies, captions about new beginnings, and choosing herself. Everyone loves that version of her, the survivor, the one who left, who started over, who finally found freedom. But give it a few months. The posts slow down. The stories stop. The healing journey hashtags fade away. And that's when it starts, the silence. Because nobody tells you that freedom has an echo. At first, it sounds like peace, but the longer you sit in it, the louder it gets. Until one night, it's 2 a.m., and she's scrolling through her phone, realizing there's no one left who really knows her. Not the curated her, not the confident her, the real her. And that's when it hits. Not like a punch, more like a slow, painful awareness. Maybe I broke something I wasn't supposed to fix. Let me tell you something, men. And listen, because this is the part women rarely admit out loud. When she walked away, it wasn't just from you. She walked away from the version of herself that only existed with you. The one who felt safe enough to cry, to be small, to not have to perform all the time. She thought she was walking toward independence. Turns out, she was walking into isolation dressed up as empowerment. And yeah, maybe you weren't perfect. Maybe you were tired, distracted, lost. But let me tell you, she noticed the small things you did. The coffee ready before work. The way you knew when to touch her without asking. The texts you didn't send when you were mad. The patience you showed when she needed to fall apart. She saw it. She just didn't know it was rare until it was gone. Now she's in this weird place. Too proud to admit she's lonely. Too exhausted to keep pretending she's thriving. You see her posting quotes about healing, talking about energy. But if you read between the lines, it's not peace. It's pain trying to sound poetic. And here's the final truth, the one that sneaks up when the noise finally dies down. Freedom and attention and independence mean nothing when silence gets louder than the applause. Because the real punishment wasn't losing you. It was realizing she destroyed the only person who loved her without conditions. The one who knew her bad days, her mood swings, her late-night overthinking, and stayed anyway. She traded partnership for possibility. And guess what? Possibility without a foundation is just another word for loneliness. So, yeah. When you see her now, talking about growth, just know she's still trying to figure out what she's growing toward. She won't admit it, but sometimes she misses you. Not the version of you in pictures, but the version that reached for her hand when she was breaking. If you've ever watched a woman walk away like she's fine, only to watch her fade slowly from the inside out, you know what I'm talking about. This isn't about who won. It's about what happens when freedom turns into a cage, and the only key was the person you let go. So if you're a man listening to this, don't underestimate what your quiet love means. Don't stop showing up, even when she acts like she doesn't need it. Because the truth, every strong woman has a moment when she wishes someone would have fought just a little harder to make her stay.